WPO, World Presence Organization. I think some of you guys, Jay, you are. What, when you're 49, they kick you out. You're too old, so you have to go into the World Presidents Organization. But I've known some guys I've been very close to. Two guys in particular. One guy had a business. He was offered $32 million for his company. He didn't take it. He didn't see the cycles in his industry, didn't see the problems ahead. Again, who knows, who has a crystal ball? And he exited about 3 years later, and the exit was close to bankruptcy. He got very little, okay? I have another friend, same thing. He was offered about $15 million for his company, thought the growth was sustainable. Things changed in his industry. He walked away from it and effectively lost that business. Now, he's got other entities, but those kinds of things happen all the time. So again, to the extent possible, determine whether it is sustainable. Tip number 2 is one of the best tips I can give you, and it's the one that you're going to discount probably more than any, okay? Again, these are the 5 tips to think about before you go to the process, and then the other 5 will be kind of strategies once you do that. Tip number 2 is before you sell, have a plan with what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Seriously, have a plan for what you're going to do with the rest of your life. I remember when an advisor friend came to me and said, let's talk about this. He was over at my office. I remember it like it was yesterday. He crossed his legs and he said, David, before we even talk about all the money you're going to make and, everybody, you think you're going to make all this money and all this kind of stuff, think about what you're going to do the rest of your life. And I was like, I'll figure it out. I'm not worried about that. But what you've got to understand is you can't underestimate the personal gratification you have, many of you have, in running a business, okay? Selling could leave a huge void in your life, a huge void. There is significant ego gratification with leading people. You are the big man on campus, and trust me, when you sign on the dotted line, most of the time, that will be over. You will no longer be the big man on campus, and the employees that used to run up and, kiss your feet, if you will, when you walk in the door, and you're just one of them now, right? Seriously, I'm not kidding you. I've heard these stories from everybody, okay? So you better be mentally and emotionally prepared for life after the sale. And let me tell you something, word to the wise, playing golf and fishing and traveling, that's all great. But for most of you that are hard-charging entrepreneurs, that's not going to be enough. I'll tell a story about one of my YPO buddies who sold a business. He sold 2 or 3, and he sold one, and he thought he was going to play golf and fish and whatever. And so he was in Hawaii on a trip with 2 other friends. He was on the golf course. He tells this story. It's hilarious, I think. Hits the ball, just yanks it out of bounds. And this had probably been about the 5th time that day, he yanks it out of bounds. And he said, David, I got in my car, I told the guys, I'm leaving, I'm going and catching the next plane, I'm starting a new business. And he did, I am not kidding you, he did. He's like, okay, I can't do this. I was there, I played golf, and when I took the job at TCU, everybody says, why'd you take the job at TCU? And I said, well, because I was playing entirely too much golf and not getting any better. And it wasn't any fun. But, there are other options, right? And you think about these. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong. I want to give you guys food for thought, okay? We're all hardwired differently. Some of you guys may be great fishing and golfing, and doing those kinds of things. Some of you may say, well, I'll do philanthropic endeavors and I'll be satisfied with that. Maybe I'll buy another business, maybe I'll start another business, okay? Think about that, though. Think about the early days when you started the business you're in. Do you really want to go back and have that little office, you'd probably do it differently. I did it differently, My second go around, I had capital, and I put people in business, but there are ways to do it, okay?